Hello and welcome to another episode of That's Absurd, Please Elaborate, the science jokey podcast where we take questions from you, our listeners, about whatever absurd, ridiculous, overly elaborate, imaginative thing that you can think of, and then we do our best to drill down into the science behind it and find real answers. I am one half of your normal hosting complement, Julian Huguet, and my other half has been gone. He's been busy with a move across the nation for the last couple of episodes. Shh, don't spoil it yet. Don't spoil it. We've had guest hosts for the previous 2 episodes, and they have been fantastic, but there is no replacing the man, the myth, the possible Sasquatch legend that is, I want to say it's pronounced Traque Dominguez? Am I saying that right?
Close. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. It's Tracy Dominic. When people call the house that I lived in growing up and asked for if the Dominiquez family was there, and I was like, I don't understand.
Clearly not a lot of Hispanic people in the Midwest where you live.
Not so much. Yeah, is Tracy Dominiquez? I would just stop them. Actually, yes. I did go to space camp, and on my space camp certificate, they spelled my last name wrong.
With a Q.
So, no, they spelled it Damingus.
That Damingus. Well, Trace, welcome back. I missed you.
Thank you.
Terribly.
Thanks for holding down the fort while we were gone. And we being me and my whole family driving in an EV from Los Angeles to New York.
We had some great guests, truly. Sophie is hysterical, as you remember from the first time on the pod. And Nora, our actual nuclear physicist friend, was on astrophysics, nuclear. Well, she worked on a nuclear aircraft carrier. She had a question about radiation and rabbits. I think you're going to love it when you finally hear the episode.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for that one.
I know. It's going to be great. But yeah, it's great to have you back. I'm sure listeners missed you as well.
Yeah, hi listeners, I missed you. And Julian, I have to say, you really nailed that intro. So I don't know what I'm not doing now. What's the word? Concise.
Yeah, that's the word.
Concise. You nailed it. It was really good.
1 year into this podcast, and we finally have one of the most basic elements down. So it's going great.
If anybody asks.
How's your show going? We've figured out an intro consistently.
Yeah.
So
44 episodes in, just got the intro down.
No problem. Now we've just got to figure out the entire rest of it.
Well, and cheers to you, the listener, for sticking with us this long.
Yeah.
Ooh, I was feeling nostalgic for not being on the podcast for a couple weeks. So I went and looked up, and we got some new reviews, and they're really good.
They are really sweet. I
was
saw them.
oh, thank you.
I read them too. They're really nice. And there were 3 in a brief span. Normally it takes, people don't add reviews that often. It was oh, this is so nice. It was just a bunch all of a sudden. They were really delightful. We read them.
I really appreciated it. Yeah, in case you're wondering, every review gives us a little bit, a little squeal.
Yeah.
Squirts out of us.
Ew, the way you phrased that.
I haven't been on a podcast in a while. Apparently my phrasing's wrong.
All that work we put in, the 42 episodes you did do, now it's gone. It's atrophied.
It's like summer,
Okay.
Anyway, should we get to our questions that we have for this week?
Yes. And since you're back after your extended leave, why don't you kick us off?
Sure, yeah. I actually broke the mold a little bit this week because we had 2 questions that were both very similar. So I am sort of rolling them together into my answer for both.
Okay. You couldn't help yourself.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, I
couldn't help myself.
I mean,
I'm one of those people that doesn't do something for a while and then is like, I'm going to do the advanced level thing now.
Yeah, it's all or nothing.
Yep. So we have 2 questions. One is from Danielle, and he asks, if humans had leaves, photosystems, and other necessities for photosynthesis, how would it affect us? Would we have a bunch more energy and get a bunch more done? Would we stop eating? Would we breathe in opposite?
Okay.
The second question is from William, and he sent us a clip.
Hi there, I'm William, and I'm calling from Durban, South Africa. I would like to know, how would society function if we were photosynthetic? In my lunch break, I was just chatting with some friends from work, and we were sitting outside just enjoying the sunlight, and we started to wonder, is there any potential for humans to become photosynthetic? And if so, how would that change the way we live? What would happen to mass farming, and where would the most powerful communities live? Would that be on the equator? Would long sleeves be an adequate form of diet? I'm looking forward to your absurd answers. Thank you very much.
I love how he's already diving into the details.
He's like ready to go.
Yeah. Sometimes, I do love like just pontificating on these when we get them, because sometimes you do go down the weirdest avenues. Like wearing clothing to be on a diet is so great.
I loved that. I thought that was so funny, and I did try and like think about it. These two questions are I thought so similar. They're basically both asking the same question. What if humans could do photosynthesis? Like, what would that be like for us? And so I kind of looked into it. And Julian, do you remember from grade school biology, producers versus consumers of living organisms?
Yes. So producers are the high paid. They're called above the line, and they're the ones who kind of make the whole...
Okay.
That was a very Hollywood joke.
Inside Hollywood. That was good. I liked it, though.
The three people who know anything about film listening are going to be like, I got that. I got that joke. Sorry, no. And when we're talking biology, of course, you have like the autotrophs, right? Who make their own energy just from sunlight or other, like chemical means, like things living at like vents on the seafloor. And they're kind of the basis of entire ecosystems that other organisms, the heterotrophs, then consume these autotrophs or the products they make, like fruits or whatever. And that fuels basically the rest of the ecosystem.
Exactly. Nailed it. Perfect. You literally said word for word what I had written when you wrote autotrophs and make their own energy. It's literally what I had wrote.
I hacked your Google account. I can actually read all your notes.
Oh, got it. So you're just reading my notes.
But I'm doing a good job of pretending like I can, I would say, right?
That's true. Yeah. I mean, what an actor you are.
Thank
Amazing.
you. Actors are below the line. And then
Okay.
That's me.
So you guys are the consumers and the producers are the ones who make all the... Okay. So plants are obviously producers in this equation, and they make their energy using the sun. And it's actually a fairly simple chemical equation of 6 CO2 molecules plus 6 water molecules, making 1 C6H12O6. Everybody who took biology remembers glucose, and 6 diatomic oxygen molecules.
I mean, it looks really simple when you just draw like the starting point and the ending point like that. Yeah, of course. But then the process to get there is long and complicated.
Yes. Yeah, it is. And so it's when you look at all leafy plants, any plant that is green on our planet, they're all photosynthesizing. They're absorbing sunlight, they're using it to make glucose, and they're respirating with carbon dioxide and oxygen. And most people already know this. I'm not going to get into the biology of it too much because I think it's fascinating. Something that I did not ever think about when it comes to photosynthesis. Do you know how plants evolved it?
Ooh, yes.
Because I didn't. I didn't know this.
So here's the interesting thing, and it's it's so cool, and just like the evidence that scientists use to piece together, the history of life on this planet is really fascinating. And I'll compare it to the mitochondria in our cells, right?
Oh, that's the perfect comparison. Yes.
So almost all eukaryotes, multicellular organisms like us, or animals, plants in general, right? Almost all of us, except for like one they found in 2016, have mitochondria.
The powerhouse of the cell.
Woo-hoo. There's really strong evidence that mitochondria were at some point basically their own little organism, and then some very early cells in the evolutionary timeline, like we're talking beginning of like
billions of years ago,
eukaryotes, right? Basically absorbed mitochondria into themselves and formed like this mutually beneficial arrangement, right? Where it's like, mitochondria, you're awesome at making energy in the form of ATP. So why don't you like come and live inside me, and I'll give you the nutrients you need, and you'll give me the ATP. And the evidence of this is that mitochondria have their own DNA.
Yeah,
that is
a separate
not,
genetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's outside of the nucleus that the rest of our cells store the DNA in for like the rest of the coding, everything. No, mitochondria have their own DNA, and they have a double cell membrane, which is evidence that they had their own at first, and then they were wrapped up by our cell membrane and just kind of absorbed into us. And the cool thing is the organelles in plants that are responsible for photosynthesis, the chloroplasts, also have a double membrane like that. So there's evidence that chloroplasts were once their own little basic organism, and then early plants were like, hey, why don't you come on live in here? Why don't you step inside? And I'll give you some protection and nutrients, and you give me energy from sunlight.
That's right. Yeah, nailed it.
It's so cool.
It's amazing because I think most people who've been through high school biology know about the mitochondria.
The powerhouse of the cell.
But they don't necessarily think about plant cells essentially doing the same thing. It was a cyanobacteria, they think, and it was eaten or like consumed at some point by another cell for a plant, and over billions of years became symbiotic. And again, yes, just like Julian said, the reason we know this is the double membranes is one evidence. The genetics of chloroplasts are very similar to cyanobacteria. They have a lot of energy similar, like they make energy in a similar way to cyanobacteria, which a cyanobacteria is another type of bacteria that makes energy from the sun. They still exist. They are separate life forms from these. But either way, we are pretty sure that this is how plants got this incredible ability, and now they are everywhere, all over our planet.
Yeah.
No known animals do photosynthesis in this way. Like they don't have photosynthesized cells that they're growing the same way that a plant does. They make energy from different means all across the animal kingdom. However, there is a flatworm. And the reason I'm going to animals now is because that's the question, right? The question is, could humans do photosynthesis? Animals' energy budget and plants' energy budget are completely different. However, there's that flatworm that I mentioned. So
yeah, I'm just shocked. You're saying there's a flatworm that can do photosynthesis?
Sort of. It's called the Sagittarius roscofensis.
Oh, that's my zodiac sign.
Yeah,
I'm a Sagittarius.
You're a Sagittarius roscoe. It's the Roscoff worm, also known as the mint sauce worm, or, because it's British, the shilly-shally worm.
That is, if you've seen a flatworm swim, shilly-shally is the perfect description of how they move.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Aaron Aronson out there be like, oh, look at that shilly-shally worm.
Look at that Mike shilly-shally over there. Get me stick.
So the Roscoff worm is an animal, lives off the ocean coast of Europe. It's bright green, about 5 millimeters long, and it has a green head. And it was studied since about the 1870s because they were like, how did this animal, this little teeny worm, turn green? 19th century scientists were like, does this mean this animal is a plant? And in 1910, it was literally described as a plant animal. And then in the early 1900s, it was discovered that it's symbiosis. Essentially, the worms aren't photosynthetic, but they eat a unicellular green algae when they're first born, called Tetraselmis convolute, and those ingested algae migrate to their head, and after a while their digestive system shuts down and they just use the energy from the algae that they get.
What?
So if they don't eat the algae when they are born, if they don't eat enough algae, those worms will die. So it's like this symbiotic relationship between this specific species of algae and this specific species of Roscoff worm, which is so cool.
So cool.
You can watch it happen. They have been doing studies on them now since the 1870s, and maybe even earlier, I guess, if they, just the ones that I could find. And they were like, this is incredible. And it's not the only one in the animal kingdom that does this. There's the emerald green sea slug, which also eats algae, but the symbiotic algae probably doesn't keep them alive in the same way as the flatworm because it's a bit bigger. And it's just really interesting. Really interesting.
You know what just occurred to me? I know of an organism that's famous for having a symbiotic relationship with algae.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I can't believe I didn't think of it before. Coral.
Yes. Excellent example.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coral are a classic symbiosis example, which is just super cool. No matter how you try and, shine a light on it, if you will, not animals really don't photosynthesize in the same way. Non-microscopic creatures really don't particularly easily unless they're plants. And the reason that's important for our question askers, William and Daniel, is because if humans could do this, we might have to follow the same model as a flatworm. And essentially, you get born and you have to be fed a bunch of algae that would migrate to your skin and then, cause you to be able to do photosynthesis, which doesn't sound fun.
Unlikely. I'm almost wondering if there would be some way, much like how we absorb mitochondria and how plants absorbed chloroplasts, if you could just genetically engineer in chloroplasts into our cells. I don't know. That's the other route that I'm imagining.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. I didn't look into that specifically, but I wonder if because plant cells have, more rigid structures that helps the chloroplasts work and stuff. Like mitochondria can float around making ATP inside of our cell, and that's fine. But the chloroplasts do need to be at a certain spot, potentially to catch the light. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. They do exist in this flatworm, and this sea slug does eat algae and turn green, but we don't really have a lot of examples of animals that photosynthesize because, and this is the big reason, it's not powerful. Photosynthesis is something that we think of as wow, it's powering this giant tree. But trees don't move. Trees don't generate their own heat. Trees don't think the same way that we do. We use a lot of ATP, a lot of it. Any guess by mass, Julian, how much ATP we use in a day?
Oh, man. Okay, are we talking for a typical person of a certain mass?
Yeah. Say average person, what is the average person? 70 kilos or something like that? I don't know. Yeah.
Something like 72.
Right. How many kilos of ATP do you think a 70 kilo person uses in a day?
Oh, man. Okay, ATP is a really small molecule. It's adenosine triphosphate, so it's just one little basic, base nucleus and then three little phosphate groups. I don't know. My gut tells me not even a kilo, not even half a kilo of that in our day is ATP. What do you think?
It's 70 kilos.
70? I'm sorry.
We use our body weight in ATP every day.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I quadruple checked it because I was that makes no sense.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that number. Yeah. And here's the only way it makes sense is when you use ATP, you use it by basically snapping off one of those phosphate groups, so it becomes ADP, and then when you get energy back, from glucose, you recombine that phosphate and that ADP back into ATP. So it's just constantly being recycled.
Right. So, using the oxygen in the environment as burning.
Yeah. And the glucose from stored sugars and stuff.
Right, exactly.
So the total mass of ATP in your body might be really low, but because it's constantly being recycled, that's how you would use
so
70.
Smart.
Oh, thank you. 70 kilograms of ATP. But still, it is a much higher number than I expected.
Yeah.
Even anticipating that, knowing that, I still thought it was going to be I don't know, a kilogram. Holy smokes.
Yep. 10 million molecules of ATP every second per cell in the human body. So we're using all of this oxygen. We're using this glucose. One bit of glucose can make 36 to 40 ATP molecules. And so we're burning through it throughout the day all the time, about 10 million molecules every second per cell in our body. That's a lot of ATP. And you can do the math, and figure out, okay, here's how much one ATP, here's its mass, and multiply it by the number of cells and the amount that we're producing all the time. And you can figure out, oh yeah, you probably get to about the body mass of that person. But as you say, it's not like have to ingest that amount of energy to make one of us every day. That would be a lot.
Yeah.
It's more just a trick of how the chemistry works, that you get that answer. But right now we're doing this through digestion, right? We're doing this by ingesting nutrient-dense food and oxygen, combining the glucose together to make the ATP. And we're doing that all the time, constantly, because we have this like little furnace keeping us at a certain temperature. Trees and plants, producers in general, don't do that. They're not constantly in that homeostasis. They're not generating their own heat. And because of that, photosynthesis is actually not that efficient at making energy. But it doesn't have to be, because they're not moving, they're not thinking, they're not constantly generating heat. So how efficient do you think photosynthesis is relative, out of 100, where do you think it lies?
Okay.
Just a guess.
My basis of comparison is I always hear about trophic levels, right? And that's like 10% of the energy at a lower level on the food chain makes it to the next highest level, So I would say basically, put it this way, if you need to make like 70 kilograms of ATP.
Well, no, we're just talking photosynthesis. How efficient? Right. Like if I'm getting energy in, how much energy am I getting out? Is it 1 to 1?
I see what you mean.
Is it, what percentage of, if it's 100% in, 100% out, what percentage is photosynthesis? And
okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So like how much energy from the sun is actually turned into like usable energy by photosynthesis?
Yeah.
Oh boy, I think it's not even going to be like a percent.
It's roughly 26% in ideal, like perfect mathematical conditions. No plants actually achieve 26%.
Well, what we're learning is Julian is bad at estimates.
No, that was fine. I think I think when I hear that, I hear it's probably low, and you're right. I think most people wouldn't think that photosynthesis is only 26% efficient, because people don't think about it that way. They're like, oh, well, it converts energy from the sun. It just does it, and then it's got energy. And it's like, yeah, it gets a bunch of energy and then converts about a quarter of it into usable energy, and the rest of it is either heat or just isn't used at all. Actually, I did some really interesting reading about how plants react when they're getting too much sunlight. They'll like retreat where the chlorophyll is, and also the chlorophyll doesn't always exist on the surface of the leaf at its highest rate. Sometimes it's in the middle of the leaf, and part of that is managing that energy intake. It's fascinating stuff, actually.
That makes me think that solar panels are actually a lot more efficient than we give them credit for.
I thought the same thing. Yeah. It means that we're approaching like plant level efficiencies with some of our top end solar panels. Pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah. Take that, nature.
Yeah. We can do it just as good, or maybe.
We've only been working on it for like 50 years.
Yeah. Well, they worked on it for a while. Billions.
Yeah.
So we're billions. Doing pretty good.
We're catching up.
So assuming perfection, like let's say assume 26% efficiency, and a human having the average skin area of about 1.9 meters squared of skin, about 3,000 square inches for the US audience. If we ate that algae, it migrated to our skin, and we evolved somehow to be able to use that energy, maybe through the CO2 in our blood, because you need CO2 to convert it into glucose and oxygen. So how much ATP do you think we could make if our whole body was covered in green?
Oh, man. I still think it'd be low. I don't because we need that 70 kilograms a day or whatever, basically your body weight.
Yeah.
Okay, again, Julian is bad at estimates, but 10% maybe of what we need?
Can you just use your estimate for the last time?
Oh, no. Oh, no, not even a percent.
Just 1%. Roughly 1% of our daily requirement. Oxford Associate Professor Lindsay Trumbull did the math on the conversation and said, essentially, it's about other people converted it and said it's about 1 M&M's worth of our energy per day.
Oh, wow. Wait, one mega M&M?
No, just the regular one. Just the regular
M&M. Not even a mega nem.
We need to get some mega M&Ms. They need to be like...
I saw some in a convenience store the other day, and I freaked.
You didn't even send me a picture.
I have to get these.
Yeah. So, as our friend Kermit says, it's not easy being green. Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice.
Because it doesn't actually make that much energy. So to kind of go back to Daniel's question, how would it affect us? Would we be able to stop eating? No. Is there any potential for humans to become photosynthetic? Not without a lot of chemical changes in our body, because again, it uses CO2 to make that glucose. So we'd have to be using the CO2 in our body, and it would be producing oxygen, which we also need because we're burning the oxygen to make the ATP the way that we make them now. So we're really talking about evolving two separate means of making energy in order to meet our energy budget, and one of those is good at it and the other one is not. So chances are it would be one of those magic things where we magically snap our fingers and now humans just have photosynthesis, and what do we do with it?
I'm thinking about further implications too. Like, okay, if we need to keep this photosynthesis going, we'd also probably need to, like plants, have a higher water intake.
Excellent. Yeah. So I wanted to just kind of spitball with you at this point.
Yeah.
Per Daniel and William's question, photosynthesis probably not in our future or in our past or anywhere along our timeline. There's too many cells in our body. We use too much energy all of the time in order to be able to maintain our life process. However, that's absurd. Please elaborate. So let's just snap our fingers and now we photosynthesize. Magic. Yay!
Oh, that was easy.
So let's spitball a little bit what society might look like per their question. You know, I went first to, remember the inflatable head episode? We would need a lot. We would need a lot of extra skin covered in green in order to be able to produce enough energy for ourselves, like a huge, like a tennis court amount of skin, based on Oxford Associate Professor Lindsay Turnbull's math. So we're just gonna have like, I don't know, a cape, maybe like a big cape that you have to like
skin
keep like you just throw it out when you're working and leave it there.
Oh no. It's so great. Yeah, we don't talk about, like, people don't consider that the reason trees, along with being, like, completely stationary, the whole idea of the giant canopy of leaves is maximizing that surface area.
Exactly.
Right?
Lots and lots of little leaves, and yes.
Yeah. Catch as much of that sunlight as possible.
So here's some of the things I thought about how we would have to change us, right? I broke it into three different groups. Changes in us, changes in where we live, changes in how we live. So changes in us. We'd have to change the human body. Obviously, either a skin cape or some other thing. Instead of hair, we would definitely be covered in leaves or like needles or, you know, something to increase that surface area so we could just have more energy per square
hair.
Leaf hair.
Right? Like if the chloroplasts are like in our hair would have to be radically different too.
It would be really
hair cells get crushed.
Yeah.
Like after they get grown, so like they'd have to basically be, I don't know. I'm imagining like vines from our heads.
Yeah. I think
like a horrible Pokemon.
It's one of those things that, like, does Groot from the Marvel Cinematic Universe photosynthesize? Because he can grow leaves, but he's mostly bark. And he eats food, clearly, and drinks water, but we don't really see him doing a lot of that stuff. So we can't, I don't know enough about the MCU or the Groot species to be able to know whether or not they photosynthesize. But I think that's pretty neat to think about because that's a pretty big moving, you know, organism. Either way, notice no clothes. Either way.
Yes, that's
definitely no
clothes.
None.
Changes in society, all nudists,
all
baby.
naked all the time because we need to maximize our energy input, which means also no roofs on our houses. We might have houses, but
if decency was a concern, though, we could cover our reproductive bits with fig leaves.
Who needs fig leaves? I literally wrote that in my notes.
in the Renaissance painting. I told you I hacked
in my notes. Like, we don't need fig leaves because we've already going to be able to
We're
cover
a country
ourselves.
apart, but we're still on the same wavelength.
That's great. Yeah. Let's assume, though, that because of this magic, you could still eat. So you could, have that other input if you needed it. But if it was free to just sit in the sun and it would give us enough energy, I'm assuming you could get enough energy from this photosynthesis to live. Otherwise, it's not worth it. And it would just, even if you magically made it happen, it would be sort of like when you mentioned if we could fly, no one would do it because it would be exercise. It's like if we could photosynthesize, but no one would do it because it would be so much work and you'd have to have your skin cape out all the time and it would just be like really annoying.
Right.
So we would just eat.
Unless it met all of our energy needs anyway. Yeah, it'd probably just be like, I'm just gonna have another burger. Or whatever.
I'm just gonna eat. I don't understand.
I'm gonna have one single solitary M&M instead.
Yeah,
make up for the calorie loss from staying inside all day.
Yeah, so changes in society. We would probably, rich people would live indoors and wear clothing. Because they would be like, I can afford to sit under a super UV lamp for part of the day, get all of my energy budget, and then wander around in clothing and stay inside, away from the sun.
This goes back to our lawn episode of just flaunting how much you can waste.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Except now their lawns are just their peasants out, stretched out.
Their skin carpet
outside.
Gross.
I hate it.
So everyone would probably want to try to appear like they were wearing things. So maybe there would be ways to dye your leaves different colors. There's no reason that chlorophyll, it has to be green. You can still absorb energy with different colors. It's differently efficient depending on the color.
I was literally just thinking about that.
Yeah.
How, there are algae, right? Algae that lives deeper in the ocean is red because red light doesn't penetrate that deep, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it reflects red, it's no big deal, but it needs to gather as much light energy from the remaining wavelengths as possible. But the reason plants are green is because, like you said, that's just the most efficient wavelength to reject. You get the most energy out of the ultraviolets and the purples and stuff and the reds
and the oranges. And so we're seeing it as green because that's what is not absorbed. You could have a slightly less efficient system or a different. I'm using the term differently efficient because it depends where you live and whatever. But you could have other colors. But let's say again you're middle class wealth. Maybe you dye your leaves a different color because you can afford some super UV, but you can't afford it all day. So you're like, well, I still need to make some energy, but I would love to have some red leaf hair, you could do that, which would be pretty fun.
And then reinforcing the societal issues, the ultra rich then would be rejecting the most, so they would dye their skin white.
Ouch.
Oh no, we've stumbled into
I don't like that at all.
to this.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
No way.
Oh God!
I don't like it.
Oh, we reinvented racism again.
No, that's not good. Let's go back to changes in people.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. So I think if we had, again, snapped our fingers and then, say, fast forwarded 1 million years or whatever, and we're assuming haven't destroyed ourselves, our bodies would probably evolve to be a bit wider at the top like plants. We would end up with leaves that maximize the amount of surface area. We might be thinner overall. I'm sure our bones would get lighter because, we would want to not have to move as much mass around all the time. We might not even need things like lungs because we are essentially respirating the air through our leaves, assuming that, again, we work the same as plants and don't just have green skin. The square cube law would mean that we'd probably also just get smaller to maximize the amount of energy. In terms of our total size, we'd probably get smaller because our surface area would still be quite large relative to our mass. And we might move more slowly. We essentially would become more planty, which is interesting. Also, funnily enough, Lord of the Rings, the Ents sort of did the opposite of that. They did move slowly and talk slowly, but they were giant. So
yeah, they covered a lot of ground.
Don't know what they were eating, but, it's magic. So whatever. Also, as Julian, you mentioned earlier, plants need more water than humans or other animals. Plants actually consume a ridiculous amount of water relative to what we consume now as our now humies as opposed to like tree humies, trumies. So that we would need to absorb a lot more water. So we'd probably live near water, which I guess gets me to like where we would live, which we haven't talked about much. William asked if we would live near the equator. And I think that that's probably true. We would end up having a better chance of getting our energy budget full every day if we live in a sunny place. Whereas like wintry places or places that are cold would not be particularly good for our photosynthesizing. There'd just be less sun throughout the day. We'd have to supplement it with that super UV lamp I invented just now.
Or much like trees in like higher latitudes and lower latitudes, right? Like have periods of basic hibernation. Right?
Dormancy. Yeah, exactly. Like maybe we would binge a lot in the summer and then in the winter we'd just... I use the term rot knowing that it's a pop culture term right now, but I don't mean it as like a tree. But also like I thought, could plant people, like I've been calling them treumies, go to space? Plants do some grow faster in space, up to 50% faster, because there's not as much atmosphere limiting their UV exposure and also gravity.
Is that part of it? I was going to say gravity, like not limiting.
They're literally absorbing UV from lamps in space. They're not like putting them in the cupola to grow from the sun, So it's like, but just thinking out loud, there's less stuff in the way. So if you could make a clear spacesuit, I wonder if you'd be like, whoa, so much, like, wow, delicious. What would the sun taste like?
They'd come back ultra powerful. They'd be like our Supermen getting high from the yellow sun.
Yeah. We'd also probably avoid deserts, just like plants do now. Just because the air is dry, and dry air is not particularly good for leafy organisms. Anything else that you can think of? I was thinking there might be like see-through clothing, just like for fashion reasons, stuff that allows you to still absorb UV. Like changes in society are the fun ones. I like the idea of wearing clothes as a diet. That's why I was like, no, it'd be wearing clothes would mean you're rich for sure. That because you'd be able to say, I don't need to eat right now. Like, I don't need to absorb this energy. I can just waste it.
I'm not desperate. The thing you said about, like, no roofs on our buildings, I mean, I think we still have roofs to protect from weather.
Yeah.
And, just to enclose it off so, nothing else that we don't want gets in our house, bugs, animals, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But probably, we'd all be living in basically greenhouses, which the first thing I thought of, because my brain is poisoned, I was like, man, it'd be really hard to see the TV screen if the sun was hitting it all the time. So here's a weird one: brighter electronics.
Anti-glare coatings everywhere.
Yeah. No.
Everyone has Mac
but you
computers.
didn't think of that.
I did not.
Did you, William?
I was wondering, kind of along the same line, if you were building your house, what would you build it of? Like, would we feel more empathy toward other photosynthesizers if we photosynthesized? Would there be like a PETA, but it would be plants for the ethical treatment of plants? I don't know, like plant people?
Petp. Yeah, maybe. That's an interesting thought too, right? Because as somebody married to a vegetarian, a lot of her concern is like, oh, well, I'm okay with eating plants because I don't feel like I'm causing them any pain, but I don't want to eat animals. And if we are like part plant and we also don't need to eat anything but still can, I can see there being a societal rift of people demanding like no heterotrophism.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
At all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
The American Autotroph Society. Ugh.
Ugh. And
I don't like it already.
Like, show up at a vegetable garden and throw like buckets of green paint.
Vegetarianism is murder.
Murder. It'd be weird.
It would be really weird. It'd be weird. It'd be a weird place to live.
It'd be a real time to be alive.
They'd be. Wait.
Get over...
Would all of them be in the Green Party?
Yeah, or like space requirements, right? If we've got like these massive flesh folds and whatnot, our public transportation is like a lot smaller capacity.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Maybe everything is just, I feel like we'd all live near rivers and we'd live near fresh water. I also thought, just like in a more catastrophizing way, being like, look, if we are completely different, would we welcome global warming? Because global warming means more growing season. And if you're a photosynthesizer, that means more sunlight for your photosynthesis. Would we have expeditions to go to the poles and harvest fresh water? Because we really need fresh water. Not that plants can't grow in salt water, but I'm just assuming, based on our current chemistry, that we wouldn't suddenly be able to consume salt water like the plants that live in the sea. And so, it depends on the magic that makes us photosynthesize. Does it also change that part of our chemistry? I don't know. This is magic.
Yeah. So. You'd need to know the specifics. Yeah.
It's fun to think about, though.
But it is fun to think about. It's also so illuminating, though, of, like, when you said, if it was just us built as we are and our skin was green and had chloroplasts in it, just how little energy benefit that would give us is kind of like, I'm gobsmacked still by that teeny tiny number. And I think it really puts into perspective just how much we do have to consume and kind of like build our world around us to be able to support us, right? Like with agriculture and the lower like levels on the food chain, like just how much energy it takes to support a single human being is kind of insane.
It's incredible. It really is incredible that we're able to do it. And I do want to mention just really briefly, because I'm sure we're going to get an email. Humans do photosynthesize already. They just don't make energy from it. We make vitamin D from it.
Right.
Because photosynthesis means light placed together in Greek, right? It's photo and synthesis. So vitamin D comes from deep in the skin. It's a steroid called 7-dehydrocholesterol 4. It's hit by UVB and it goes through this complex, I'm not going to explain it, but complex chemistry goes through the liver, the kidneys, into its final form that we then can use for all sorts of things in our body. And without vitamin D, it's a pretty big deal. In fact, rickets used to be very common in children until we started putting vitamin D in milk and on cereal products and things. Just wait until the wellness influencers realize that we're putting vitamin D on everything. We'll get rickets back. We're looking forward to it, right?
But I don't see any rickets now.
I don't see
it must mean we don't need
rickets,
it.
so we don't need this.
Why
the government
are we still doing
don't need to do it. So it's basically eliminated rickets. It's just cod liver oil. Maybe you've heard that term. That's a vitamin D that they just add to milk and other foods. But not to end on a negative. Let's just all picture ourselves covered in green with a big, green skin cape that we can stretch out at the park and just absorb. I honestly think that even if you could just get 1% of your daily energy from absorbing the sunlight, if we could all just do that all of a sudden, I think it would be like a smoke break. Like a quick, like you just go outside and be like, oh, I just need a quick hit of energy. And you're just like, I feel so much less stressed. And then you go back in and do your work. And that would actually be kind of nice. I'd be into that.
If that was the only change, I'd sign up for it.
Yeah, I'd be into it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a break and then come back and answer your question. Julian, give me your best dinosaur roar.
Oh, God, an asteroid! It's horrible!
Wow, that was not where I expected that to go. We're popping in before the show to tell you about I Know Dino. It's a dinosaur podcast.
We think of those dinosaurs being this thing that's been dead for tens of millions of years. Even so, studying dinosaurs can still teach us stuff that is relevant to the world today.
Yeah, like climate models to help us understand global warming.
Migration patterns of dinosaur lineages, they tell us about Earth's changing continents.
We can also study dinosaur diets, what plants lived then and maybe what animals and how they interact.
And, this is super cool, many dinosaur injuries, paleopathologies, they're the first known occurrences of diseases.
And they talk about all this kind of stuff on I Know Dino. It comes out every week with new dinosaur stories that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Like, I hadn't heard of a lot of these, which is pretty cool.
You can find I Know Dino on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts are. And if you found us, you can probably find them. Go check them out.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. I hope that you are green with envy over our question askers who are getting their questions answered. If you want to put a question in, go down to the show notes. You can call us, you can email us, you can send them to us on social medias, wherever you want. We'll tell you more at the end of the show. But in the meantime, Julian.
Yes.
You have a question that you were asked.
I do.
And you answered it.
I do.
Tell me.
I did.
What
I
is
will
it?
attempt to. So my question comes from Roman.
Like Roman times.
And I love it so much.
You're laughing. You can't even get it
reasons
out.
I'll get into. Here's why. Here's Roman's question. Here's the sum total of Roman's question.
Okay.
Roman asks, what if you filled the Grand Canyon with ocean water? Would that solve anything? Quote, unquote. That's the whole thing.
There's no further context.
No, nothing, right? Like your question askers included more.
All
like,
sorts of ideas.
Would we wear sleeves for an idea? No. Roman just goes, hey, if we do this one outlandish thing, that solve anything?
Does that solve anything? I love that.
Solve it? I don't know. You think of it, smart guy. I'm the ideas man here. I'm not the details guy. Roman out. Like,
Wait a minute. That's
would that solve anything?
Honestly, I want to just start asking that more often. I want to
just say something at your next work meeting. Just throw out the most ridiculous thing you can think of. Hey,
what if we just gave everybody...
What if we gave everybody some nail clippers? Does that solve anything?
Does that solve anything? Anything we're trying to...
Does that solve...
It's like, you know what?
Just spitball in here.
Roman, he's not an ideas guy. He's a solutions guy. This has got to be a solution for some problem.
He's a solutions guy in search of a problem.
I love it.
He's got it all figured out.
You know what would be great? Let's launch a giant mirror into space, and somebody's like, "Hey,
does that solve anything?
You know what? We could use that to solve global warming in a fantastical world that's
You're
fake."
You're already getting too far ahead of it. The Roman method of problem solving
right.
is to do it and then just see what happens. And then declare the problem solved.
Does this solve anything? Yeah, maybe it did.
That solve anything?
Maybe it made some things worse. I don't know.
Maybe it did.
So what happens if we fill the Grand Canyon with water? And Julian, importantly, does that solve anything?
So I had to, reverse engineer what Roman might be thinking of, right? What problem could he possibly be trying to solve with this suggestion? Yeah. And the only thing, because he specifically says ocean water, right?
Yeah, true.
And so the only thing that I think that leaves left is sea level rise.
Oh.
Right?
You think Roman's trying to solve sea level rise?
If we're taking ocean water, right, specifically, because if he just said fill it with water, oh my gosh, that might be a solution to actually a lot of things. But Roman said ocean water. So I followed that line of thinking. But first, let me take you to the Grand Canyon. Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon?
I was supposed to go to the Grand Canyon on this big cross-country drive. Turns out it's real big, and driving to a place to see it is easy if you just want to drive to the closest place. But if you want to go to like one of the national park places or like a place to visit, you could drive for 3, 4, 5 hours just one way to get to that spot in the Grand Canyon because it's real big.
Not worth it when you're trying to make it across the country.
With a toddler.
By a deadline, with a toddler, in an EV.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard this, Trace. It's real majestic.
I've heard that.
It's what they say.
Yeah.
It's what the buzz about the Grand Canyon is. It's going around. So I thought before I dive into like the Grand Canyon and the geology of it, which I am not a big geology guy, but every time I look into geology, I'm like, I underappreciate this discipline.
It's incredible.
It is actually really. But I'm like, what are some fun facts as like a little aperitif, before we get into some geology that people might not be that interested in. So I started looking it up, and actually I found one that is related kind of to this question. Apparently, if you take all of the water in all the rivers in the world and put it in the Grand Canyon, you would only fill it up halfway.
What the what? I mean, I know it's big. I just said so, but that's even bigger than I thought.
That's pretty bananas. I found this fact first because, I'm trying to find multiple sources and I was just punching it on Google to find a starting place. I found it on like a Canyon Tours website that had 8 fun facts, and that was their first one. I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Was the thing, it downhill from that, though?
Oh, precipitously. Because here's fact number 7 from Canyon Tours.
Okay.
Here's fun fact you may not know about the Grand Canyon. Number 7, quote unquote, it's haunted. They just put that on a website and called it a fact.
A fun one. It's a fun fact.
I don't think you can do that. I'm gonna fact shame Canyon Tours a little bit here. You can't put that something is haunted as a fact.
Fun fact. Haunted.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
Haunted.
I'm a billionaire. Fun fact.
Fun fact about Seattle, Bigfoot's there. Like, no, you can't just call that a fact. I did find the ocean rivers fact in other places, including from our actual friend and host of It's Okay to Be Smart on PBS Digital Studios, Joe Hansen. So I'm going to count that as an actual fact.
Yeah. Wow.
But the fun fact number 7, it's haunted. Not a fact.
That's great.
Also just reminded me of like the moon's haunted meme. It's like you come back from the Grand Canyon and get a gun. What's going on? Canyon's haunted.
Canyon's haunted. Gotta go. I gotta go hunt. Haunted. I gotta go ghost hunt in the canyon.
Go hunt.
The nice thing about that is canyons are made of erosion over time, but they only cross the streams once in a while.
Hilarious. It's a bit of a walk to get to the Ghostbusters reference, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Okay, so fact number 7, it's haunted. I couldn't believe
fact
it. Okay.
Number 7, it's haunted. Oh, God.
Okay, less sexy than the canyon being haunted. Let's get into the geology.
Yeah, please, tell me.
Actually, the Grand Canyon's a really fascinating geological, I don't know if accident's the right word, but just like phenomenon.
Yeah.
Right? First of all, to give you a sense of scale, it is about a mile deep, so 1.6 kilometers deep.
Whoa.
It's at its widest about 29 kilometers wide, and it's almost 450 kilometers long. So it's actually, unlike the Great Wall of China, actually visible from space.
Wow.
It has an estimated volume of 4 quadrillion liters.
That's
so
a lot.
4 times 10 to the 15, or about 1,000 cubic miles. So take a mile by a mile by a mile, a cube the size of a mile on each edge, 1,000 of them. That's the volume that the Grand Canyon can fit inside of it.
Wow.
So, yes. And what's crazy to me is it was formed in geological time not that long ago. How long do you think it took to form the Grand Canyon?
I mean, I don't know. The fact that you prompted me with not that long, I don't know, a couple million years, millions?
About 5 million years it took for the Colorado River to carve through the Grand Canyon.
That's it? I mean, that's surprising.
It.
That's shocking.
And it's a very specific sequence of events that made this possible over the course of Earth's history. So at the lowest level of the Grand Canyon, you have this metamorphic rock, and there's some, igneous, some volcanic kind of intrusions that go into it. But the metamorphic rock is called the Vishnu Schist. Why it's called Vishnu? I wish I knew. Sorry.
That's awful.
It is a little bit. And it's actually, I wanted to kind of shoehorn that joke in, but it's because there was a geologist in the 1800s who thought one particular little mountain kind of looked like a Hindu temple, and he named it like Vishnu Temple. Oh. And then this started this tradition of a lot of things being named after like deities and mythological figures in the Grand Canyon. So yeah, at the lowest level, there's the Vishnu Schist. So that's like also known as the Vishnu Basement, all the rock down at the lowest level. And the Vishnu Basement is about 1.75 billion years old.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite old.
Wait, the Vishnu Basement is 1.75 billion?
Yes, 1.75 billion.
That's
so the lowest layer of the Grand Canyon.
That's a lot of
It's
billion.
a long, long time ago. And keep in mind, the Earth is constantly shifting around, moving around. So this is way, way before like Pangea.
Yeah.
Which was like 300 million years ago.
Oh, wow.
These rocks at the lowest level were brought to the North American continent from some tectonic activity, right? So
yeah.
they're just kind of smushed in the American continent. Again, because the Earth is moving and changing, like the plates on it are moving around so much, you can't think of it as looking like the current American Southwest this far back.
Oh.
And in fact, for a very, very long time, where the Grand Canyon is now was covered by ocean waters.
Yeah.
So actually, it kind of already was filled with ocean water at some point. But again, that's like...
But did it solve anything?
Well, it solved the problem of dinosaurs maybe setting up shop there. If you don't want a dinosaur infestation...
Cover it with water.
Cover it with ocean water. Because this area, it was underwater from about 1 billion years ago to 80 million years ago.
Yeah.
So basically missed that entire period of the dinosaurs. It was underwater from the supercontinent before Pangea, from like Rodinia times. So you had a whole supercontinent break up and then another one form, and this area is still underwater, right? And over that span, the water is depositing layer after layer of sand and dirt and seashells that get crushed down into limestone, and then the dirt is shale and the sand becomes sandstone, right? So you get this really obvious stratification of these sedimentary rocks.
Yeah.
And then at some point, the plate tectonics work more magic, and the Pacific plate starts diving underneath the North American plate, and it pushes up the Colorado Plateau.
Yeah.
And forms the Rocky Mountains.
Love them. Beautiful mountains.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the plates all get pushed up, right? And the Rocky Mountains form, and they start accumulating snow. And then as the snow melts, these streams come together and it forms the Colorado River. And the Colorado River has a special feature in that it drops a lot over a short distance.
Yeah.
It drops on average about 10 feet per mile, which is about a little less than 2 meters per kilometer, which is pretty steep for a river.
That is.
And it carries with it literally hundreds of thousands of tons of gritty sediment every day get washed down the Colorado River. So what you basically have is like, you have nature's equivalent of a belt sander.
Yeah. Or like
through
a power washer.
Tiramisu. Yeah. Just absolutely knifing through these layers of sedimentary rock that had built up over those millions and millions of years, those hundreds of millions.
How
of years.
inconsiderate of that river to just destroy that natural environment.
Curse you, river! So it cuts this really deep gash through these rocks pretty quickly. And so when you go and you look at the Grand Canyon, you can see all those stratified layers. And what's also really cool about this is you can see that actually some of the layers are clearly missing. Like some layers that formed more recently are stacked on top of much older layers because they meet at like weird angles. Instead of being neat slices all the way down, at a certain point there's some angular jut that you can see. And so the strata in between are just gone.
Yeah.
And we don't know where they are. Yeah.
It's haunted. That's where they are. That's where they are. It's the ghosts. Fact number 7.
Rocks.
They're haunted.
So yeah, you can see at the Grand Canyon an example of this thing. It's a worldwide geological phenomenon where about 1 billion years worth of rocks are just missing.
What?
Because there's 250 million year old rock on top of 1.2 billion year old rock. And we are not sure what caused this.
Oh, I think I know.
And this is called the Great Unconformity, which I think
great band name.
Is a great name for a punk rock band.
Yeah, great band name. The Great Unconformity. Punk rock.
Punk rock.
I love it. I love it.
Because your rocks aren't conforming to the normal stratification. Anyway.
The Great Unconformity. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a ska band. I'm sorry. I mean, that's a subgenre of punk, but
I do hear the trumpets.
Yeah, there's definitely trumpets, and there's a horn section, and somebody's wearing a fedora for some reason, and nobody knows why.
Can you imagine showing up to the Grand Canyon and there's a bunch of rocks and fedoras? Yeah, but it's cool because you can see, like I said, those angled parts. Those angled parts used to be level, and then they got pushed up at that angle when the Rockies were forming, literally hundreds of millions of years ago. And you can just go and see it.
That's
it's
so
right
cool.
there because the Colorado River cut into it.
Having just driven through this part of the country, it's incredible. If you haven't done it, do it. You can see so much amazing geology, so many different landscapes. We stopped at some roadside place just to stop for 10 minutes, and it was like incredible. I don't know. It wasn't like any specific place. It wasn't a national park. It's just like somewhere, and there were these giant, beautiful, incredible rocks as far as you could see. It was just so cool.
Yeah. Just being out in the world, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty.
It's amazing.
It's pretty sometimes in some places.
Yeah.
Okay. So, now that you know a little bit about how the Grand Canyon formed and just how freaking huge it is, we can talk about Roman's question of, does this solve anything?
Does this solve anything?
Filling it with seawater. Does it solve anything?
I mean, I
Okay.
can think of a couple things. I could think of something that it solves, but I'm going to hold on to it.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, I focus mostly on sea level rise. And of course, this requires doing a bunch of math and knowing some figures about how fast sea levels are rising now. So according to a 2022 report from NASA, NOAA, the EPA, FEMA, the USGS, the DoD, every alphabet soup government agency in the US, basically, sea levels are projected to rise along the US coastline an average of about 1/4 to 1/3 of a meter by 2050.
Eek.
So as high as a foot
Yeah,
by 2050.
that's a lot.
And if we don't curb emissions, that level could rise anywhere from 1 to 2 meters
Whoa.
by 2100.
Jeez. Meters.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Meters.
That's like 6
1
feet.
to 2 meters.
Yeah.
Water doesn't get distributed evenly as things melt. It was actually really interesting reading this study. Like, melt from farther away has a bigger impact on the sea level change. So melt from Antarctica will affect us in North America more than melt from Greenland in terms of just sea level rise, which I thought was really interesting.
That is interesting.
But the global mean sea level, so as a whole, across the world, if you were to average the sea level rise, right now it's going up about 0.42 centimeters every year,
Ooh.
and it's accelerating.
Ooh. 0.42. That's almost half a centimeter a year.
Yes, almost half a centimeter a year.
Wow.
So, or
Wow.
put another way, almost a fifth of an inch every year.
Yeah.
So the main drivers of this are glaciers and ice sheets melting, and ocean water, as it gets warmer, it does expand. So it takes up more volume. So the sea levels will rise.
Yeah.
The biggest contributors in terms of ice sheets melting are Greenland and Antarctica, right? Because when we talk about ice melting, listen, it's really a huge bummer that the polar ice caps are melting and polar bear environments are getting smaller and smaller, and they're not reflecting as much sunlight, so the Earth is getting hotter as they melt. But because those ice caps at the North Pole are they're not on land, they're free floating, it's like ice in a glass of water. When it melts, it doesn't make the glass overflow.
Right.
Unlike the ice that's on Antarctica and on Greenland, right? This is just like piles and piles of ice sitting on top of land masses. And if those melt and flow into the ocean, that does cause the sea level to rise.
That's like ice outside of the bowl flowing into the bowl as it melts.
Yeah, just dumping in new ice and ice water, right? So Greenland and Antarctica, the ice losses are about 270 billion metric tons and 150 billion metric tons per year, respectively.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a
So
lot.
combined, these ice sheets melting, they're responsible for about 1/3 of that average sea level rise since 1993. So about 1/3 of how much the oceans have gone up is coming from just Greenland and Antarctica, the ice on those continents and island melting.
Yeah. Oof.
So now let's do some math, right? Let's talk about how big the Grand Canyon is again. Remember I said it's got a volume of about 4 quadrillion liters of water. Good news about water, is it has a mass of about 1 kilogram per liter.
Okay.
So that means that the Grand Canyon can store 4 trillion tons of water, more or less, which is about 10 years worth of melt from Antarctica and Greenland.
Oh, I mean, that's not that much.
At
but...
their current rates.
Yeah.
That's not that much.
That's not that much.
Right.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of melt. It's 10 Grand Canyons or 1 Grand Canyon. Oh gosh, it's only 10 years? That's not great.
Yeah.
That's not great.
Now, and like I said, those 2 ice sheets, those are responsible for about a third of sea level rise. So really,
we're in trouble.
It's more like we're delaying sea level rise by 3 to 4 years at the current rate of melt.
Yeah.
But remember that the ice is melting faster as the planet's getting warmer.
Yeah.
So Greenland is melting 7 times faster than it was in the 90s. Antarctica is melting 3 to 4 times faster than it was in the 90s. So really, if we fill the Grand Canyon with ocean water, we've offset sea level rise for about 2 to 3 years.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
So,
oh man.
Not great.
Okay.
Not great.
Wow.
Frankly, kind of impressive, though, that the Grand Canyon
is
can't
that big.
Hold that much.
3 years.
I mean,
yeah. You get 1 Grand Canyon or 3 years of sea level rise. Which one are you going to pick?
Yeah. Yeah, take your pick. Now, for reasons that I'm about to get into, I would still pick having the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, okay. Got it. Why?
But what were other problems? Before I move on, though, what were other problems that you thought this might solve?
Oh, the haunting, obviously. If I fill it with
water, you flush her out.
Yeah, just flush the ghosts right out of there. Just get them. Either they're underwater ghosts. Who cares? Not going there. I'm not a billionaire with a submarine that you have to deal with. And, beachfront property in Arizona. Anybody? Like, that's kind of nice. It's a little Salton Sea-esque, but still.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
But, beachfront property in Arizona is pretty nice.
Do you think somebody sells a ghost removal spray?
Yes.
Like my dog got sprayed by a skunk the other night, and I went and I bought some skunk removal spray. Yeah, somebody must have some anti-ghost spray.
Someone does. Absolutely. And they sell it for $19.99 or something on my website.
Oh man. Yeah, we need to get into that racket. We could truthfully be like, guaranteed to remove all ghosts.
Yep. Guaranteed, because they weren't there in the first place.
Your house will be ghost free.
It was and will be ghost free.
Okay. Listeners, you're in on this. Don't tell nobody about this.
Don't tell anybody.
When you see Trace and
$1 million idea.
Ghost cleansing spray. We need to go on Shark Tank.
You know what's haunted? The Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon. Till we went there.
Are you in, Mark?
High five.
Are you in, Mark Cuban? Is he even on that show
just
anymore?
Got
I don't even know.
Matching T-shirts with a Grand Canyon and then like the Ghostbusters logo over it.
Honestly, not bad. Not bad.
So stupid. Okay. They'll have to change that website though on Canyon Tours.
Yeah. We'll ruin fact number.
They'll be down to 7
they'll
fun
just stroke
facts.
it. They'll just put a strike through. They'll cross it out.
Used to be haunted.
Yeah.
Grand Canyon used to be haunted. Okay. So let's get into why this is actually much, much worse than any sort of solution it might be proffering if we filled the Grand Canyon with ocean water.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the most obvious thing that would happen is you utterly, utterly destroy the environment of the Grand Canyon.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
That's a no-brainer.
Yep.
You're taking what was a freshwater river and you're dumping 2.5 years of sea level rise of salt water
1,000 cubic miles of salt water.
4 quadrillion liters of salt water, right?
Yeah.
And the Colorado River, when you actually see the Grand Canyon and you're like, this little thing did that?
Yeah.
It's not. It's not a lot of water.
Yeah.
So we fill it up with ocean water. Yeah, you're going to do devastating ecological damage, especially to the aquatic life, which is kind of a bummer because it turns out the Colorado River is not a hospitable place for fish. There's only 8 species of fish that are native to the Grand Canyon, and 6 of them are only found in the Colorado River. So they're all dead.
Oh, yeah. Well, great. Thanks, River.
So that environment's destroyed. Then you've also got the natural landmark that you've lost, this treasured part of our nation's heritage. And treasured part, I should say, of also the 11 associated tribes of the Grand Canyon that all consider this place to be sacred.
Oh, great. So we've destroyed that.
I can't imagine something more American than destroying a place considered sacred to native tribes people to solve a problem that, industrialized America had a huge hand in creating, but for 2.5 years.
Yeah, just like temporarily. You're stealing, what is it? Stealing from someone to pay someone else, Peter to pay Paul or some, I don't know, religious thing I'm not sure about.
Yeah, that is, I don't know. It's just so peak, shameful parts of American history.
Yeah.
Of,
yes.
Sorry, native people, we made the sea level rise, but we're going to fix it by making this worse for all of you again.
Yeah.
So, sorry. So, yeah, that's probably bad. You might get a little pushback. But along with being, incredibly disrespectful to all the native people in the region.
And all the life.
It also, and all the aquatic life there, yeah. It also royally screws over the southwestern United States, basically as a whole.
Yeah. Can you tell me why? I mean, I have some ideas as to why.
If you lived in California, particularly Southern California, the Colorado River should be on your mind.
Yeah.
Because we are in the midst of a gigantic three-way fight over the water in this river. We parceled it out, between California, Nevada, and Arizona. We came to some agreement a long time ago on how much we could use, and quite lacking in foresight, we agreed on splitting up more water than the Colorado River actually has.
That is one of my favorite facts about how we split the water. It's just like, imagine there are 100 units of water in real life. California, Arizona, and Nevada was like, okay, you get 60, you get 70, and you get 50. And it's like,
exactly.
Wait a minute.
Exactly. So now everybody's like, wait, we agreed that I would get this much. Not like this much percentage, but just like
this much water. Physical water.
Period.
Yeah.
So everybody's just like, oh yeah, let's build new housing residences in the middle of the desert, and let's grow more crops down here where it's getting hotter and hotter. And it is a huge, huge problem. 30 million people rely on the Colorado River from the Grand Canyon southward for their drinking water.
Yeah.
And it provides irrigation for all those farmlands too, for millions and millions of acres.
The farms that
90%,
feed a lot of the country as well.
Yeah, 90% of the nation's winter vegetables, I looked it up, are grown using water from the Colorado River. And Trace, I don't know if you know this, you cannot irrigate with salt water. You cannot drink salt water. Yeah, that's bad.
That would be bad.
What you'd do is you'd kill all the crops and make it impossible to grow anything ever again.
You'd Carthage it.
Yeah, you would go straight up Roman on your own land.
Roman Carthage.
Again, we've offset sea level rise for 2.5 years, and we've made 30 million people have to find drinking water from somewhere else.
And destroyed
I don't know where.
The farmland that feeds people in the winter for most of the United States. Also, a significant amount of the power in Southern California comes from things like, wind power and stuff. Well, that's probably all washed away now. Because that's the thing you haven't mentioned yet. Erosion. If I just snap my fingers and put a whole bunch of water in there, where's it going to go? It's not going to stay there.
Oh, you're so beautiful. I love you so much. Because this is also why I went on that long geology lesson about the Grand Canyon in the first place.
Oh, because it's going to cut through it like butter.
Right. We've taken millions of tons of water, trillions of liters of water, and we've put it into this big, soft-walled bathtub.
Oh,
no! Where's it going to go?
Oh, no.
Yeah, you're probably going to get it flowing in all sorts of directions and causing more untold environmental havoc.
No.
Because again, it's flowing from that higher elevation in the Colorado Plateau downward.
welcome to the Baja California Delta, because now it's just a bunch of rivers all spread out, all destroying saltwater rivers, no life. Oh my gosh, that's nuts to think about.
Yes, exactly. And I was also thinking about power. I don't know how it would affect like hydroelectrics, right?
Yeah.
Like the Grand Canyon sort of ends around Lake Mead, which is an artificial lake that was created when the Hoover Dam was built, which is right next to Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's cool.
So
cool trip.
It is cool.
Cool day
it's
trip.
a cool place. I don't know like the kind of geoengineering projects you would need to undertake to hold all this water in the Grand Canyon. But I imagine it would be several dams at different stages, and then as elevation dropped, just another dam once it's low enough. I really can't fathom it. But I am imagining a catastrophe happening eventually where the water goes around some dams or something.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then knocks out the Hoover Dam, which I looked it up, provides 2% of the electricity in LA.
Oh,
which
that's
isn't a ton.
That's not a lot, but
It's about as much as less than you get from photosynthesis, but but still, the Hoover Dam, still an important part of our infrastructure and electricity needs.
yeah, very much.
Especially more so if you're in Las Vegas, because it's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
Roman, to answer your question, would it solve anything? Yes, for 2.5 years.
One thing.
If we're saying anything at all, yes.
But
one thing.
I want to just point out, only if we can keep it there. Because otherwise, it's just going to run downhill, because Denver all the way to the coast of the Pacific and Baja is
downhill. California is where the Colorado
so
ends.
it's just going to rush back into the ocean. So really, it's not going to take 2.5 years to do that. So really, we're not even going to. We're talking weeks. We're talking weeks.
The modern equivalent of a Sisyphean task. I don't even know how you'd get this water there in the first place, right?
This is an episode filled with magic. We're going to snap our fingers.
Yeah.
And we're hopefully going to gently put it there, because if you dropped it from any height, we're going to destroy it even more. Wow.
Tsunami.
Yeah. Jeez.
So you'd solve one thing for a little bit.
Maybe.
And also permanently destroy a national landmark cultural heritage site and the drinking water for 30 million people.
But would you make people feel good about something for like a minute? One news cycle, they'd feel good about it.
Yeah. Great news. We've solved sea level rise a bit.
A little
temporarily.
For a minute.
For a hot minute. In geological time. Not even a hot minute.
No.
A hot second.
Hot nanosecond geologically.
Hot nanosecond.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Roman. You've you know what you've solved, Roman? You've solved the next James Bond movie's evil plan. Like this is the Despicable Me 7 needed something that bad was gonna happen.
Right. I love it though because it doesn't seem like a supervillain thing to do, right? Like a supervillain thing is like breaking the dam, that's like holding back the water. There's another dam above the Grand Canyon, and it created Lake Powell.
Mm-hmm.
So, imagine we broke that. Like that seems more supervillainy. Although they do occasionally release like a bunch of flood water through Lake Powell. I was looking it up because beaches get eroded away on the Grand Canyon, and then when they want to restore these sandbars and stuff for people to like camp out during camping season, they'll be like, okay, we'll release a ton of water and all this silt will build up again.
Oh, cool.
Just like a controlled erosion
Neat
thing that they do. It's very cool. Yeah.
Wow.
So not even the dam opening up, not even the supervillain thing. Turns out damming up the whole Grand Canyon and filling it with water, that's the supervillain thing.
Wow. What a mess.
It's particularly salt water.
Thanks, Roman.
Which Roman specified.
Yeah, wow. If you'd done freshwater, Roman, then you wouldn't be a supervillain. You would have made a lot of people's lives more interesting. It would still be awful and terrible and done a lot of damage, but at least it wouldn't have killed everything, too.
Yeah, Roman.
Jeez, Roman. Would that solve anything?
Wait, we did say it was like Carthage and going Roman. Oh my God, it makes sense. He's not Roman.
Oh my God.
He's an actual Roman trying to salt the lands of his enemies.
How did we just realize this now at the end of the episode? In case you were thinking...
he's a time-traveling Roman in disguise. Fans of Fallout New Vegas are going to hear about somebody named Roman having plans for the Hoover Dam, and they'll freak out.
That's so funny.
Because I don't know when the last time you played Fallout New Vegas was, but there's like a whole faction that pretends to be like basically ancient Romans, and they're like the bad guys trying to take over the Hoover Dam.
Well, under his
That's
eye
what this is. This question is from that guy.
That's funny.
From Kaisar.
Well, thank you so much, Roman and William and Daniel, for sending in your questions. Holy wah, what an episode. Let's not do any of these things.
Let's all agree to keep the status quo for now, at least.
At least in these two very specific ways. Let's just not do this. Thanks, y'all, for listening to this episode of That's Absurd. Please elaborate. This show was created and written and produced by that guy over there, Julian Huguet.
And that guy over there, welcome back from your road trip, Trace, for a little bit at least, Trace Dominguez.
It was also produced and edited by our friend and the wonderfully talented Kyle Sisk. I feel like he would be the dude in the fedora in the ska band of this episode.
Of the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Kyle, are rocking a fedora.
And special thanks to all the listeners who submitted questions in this episode. Again, that's William and Daniel and Roman.
Yep, if you would like to submit a question, you can look for the form in our show notes. You can also email us at hello@that'sabsurdshow.com. You can visit our website, that'sabsurdshow.com/ask, or you can call 302-TAPE-SHOW, TAPESHO.
Leave us a review, like we mentioned earlier, wherever you're listening right now. We love the reviews. We read all of them. Your words make us excited, and I did say earlier that they make us squirt weird noises, and I regret that. I'm sorry. I promise not...
You can't take it back.
I promise not to do that if you leave a review. I will utter or, squeal or something, but I promise not to squirt any words. And thank you again to all of you who have submitting questions. We're getting them fast and furious now. We are so happy because it means the show is even better because we have so many questions to pick from and so many crazy things that we can think about, and we can start combining questions like we did today. So thank you, and please submit a question if you have a crazy one. We love it. We want to see the weirder ones, the better.
A special thanks to those listening on Nebula. Nebula listeners get access to ad-free versions of episodes. They can even support us and other independent creators. To join Nebula, visit go.nebula.tv/that'sabsurdshow.
If you do that and you join, not only do you get a discount, but you support the show. So thanks to those who do that. And remember, as we say at the end of every episode, it's haunted. It's fact number 7.
It's haunted.
Fact number 7.
Fact number 7. The fact we always conclude with.
Fact number 7.
The Grand Canyon is haunted.
The Grand Canyon's haunted.
It's a fact.
It's a fact.
Found it on a website.
Fun fact, even.